And when he toes the line to race, you will watch. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is good for the sport.
Hello, and welcome to the Stride Report podcast. I am Ben Weissel. Joining me, as always, Garrett Zalin. How's it going, man?
This is March. This is
it.
That game over, game set match. What a weekend. Was really happy with how our team did, covering across all divisions. Just really happy. Thought we did really, really well, and thought the athletes gave us a lot to talk about. I thought it was a fun weekend. So proud of our team. Shout out to them, and we made it. It's the end of the season. We did it.
It is, and what a way to finish it off. I feel like we say this after every national championship, but man, there was a few snoozers in there, which we'll talk about. But like for the most part, I mean, the races that we didn't expect to be like all that interesting, a lot of them turned out to be like either big upsets or just photo finishes down to the wire, which was a lot of fun. And then the like best of the best going up against each other. We saw some fantastic performances across the board. What we did not see as a fantastic performance was our rating and reviews. Please make sure you are giving us a rating or a review on Apple and Spotify. Leave us some comments on YouTube as well. Subscribe to that YouTube channel as well. We got lots of post-race interviews. Check out the Stride Report for Garrett's first thoughts articles. We got a lot of stuff on the site. Just give us a quick rating or review to help us out as well.
Super simple, super easy. And we'll also make this podcast super simple and super easy. We're going to go talk about the races that we thought were most entertaining, most interesting, most fascinating. And I will let you kick us off. Where did you want to start?
We're going to start with the men's 3K, which came down to the closest of all finishes, had the most drama after the race as well. The first person to cross the line was Habtom Samuel, but the NCAA 3K champion is Colin Salmon. You don't normally get to have two different people for those two statements, but in this race, we did, due to Habtom Samuel being disqualified afterwards for a move that he made in the last turn of the last lap, blocking Marco Langen from passing him. And ultimately, it was Colin Salmon who takes home the title. Habtom Samuel had beaten him by, 5/1000th of a second?
0.005, seconds.
Just a ridiculously close race, even if without the DQ. And I don't know where you want to start with this. There's a lot of directions we can go here.
Let's first create a baseline of what we believe is right and fair.
Sure.
Are we in agreement that Colin Salmon, over the final 100 meters, specifically on the curve, do we agree that he was contacted and his stride was interrupted?
Yes.
Okay. So we agree that his race was affected, right? Mm-hmm. And it also seems fair to suggest that if his race was not affected, if he didn't stumble a little bit on that curve, are we in agreement that he would have won outright before a DQ? Do we agree on that?
Yes, when you're 5/1000ths away, then the smallest hitch in your stride is going to make up for that difference.
I agree. I agree. So a move in contact clearly impacted the race. Now, here is where I believe there is some nuance to this. The DQ was given to Habtom Samuel, who was directly behind Salmon and on his outside right shoulder with 100 meters to go going into the curve. Villanova's Marco Langen, however, was approaching Samuel's outside shoulder as they went into that final curve. And Langen tried to get in and ahead of Samuel, who then intercepted that move and said, no, I am going to defend my position. And there is an extension of arms. You can see Samuel kind of part the seas almost a little bit with his arms. And in turn, some kind of contact happens. It's really difficult to tell, despite all the different replays that there are. And Salmon is somehow contacted. The officials, before any protest was actually filed, the officials were the ones who outright DQ'd Samuel. New Mexico's argument, however, upon protesting that was, hey, our guy has the right to defend his position. He has the right to not just let anyone come in front of him willy-nilly. Villanova's argument was likely, and I don't know if there was actually a direct protest from Villanova, but or at least in response to that DQ. But Villanova's also saying, well, wait, but our guy is allowed to cut in, right? He was going to until he was pushed out. At the end of the day, Samuel was the one who made contact with Solomon. It is extremely difficult to assign like blame and finger point anywhere because it's so nuanced. I think by the letter of the law, it was the right call, but I also can see, at least understand where New Mexico is coming from and saying he's allowed to defend his position. What is your take on that?
Yeah, and as you're talking about that, I'm just like replaying this like part of the race over and over again because what I think was the biggest issue in my mind is a couple of things. Langen actually does pass Habtom at one point. If you put it under a microscope, you watch it in slow motion, he does actually pass him. And up until that point, I think you can make the argument that Samuel is defending his position, right? He's moving to the outside. He's trying. There definitely is some arm extension, but after he does pass him, then he's no longer defending his position. He's trying to pass. And that's where you start to see the arms, you start to see some things. And while he's doing that, he's also kind of knocking into Solomon and he's almost like catapulting himself forward using the both of them as like as his guides to push him forward, right? And that's where I think the issue really lands. Is he not only not only impeded Solomon, but he actually kind of used him to catapult himself forward along with Langen a little bit. And I think that's ultimately where it's extraordinarily harsh, and it always is with it almost always is with a DQ where it's like, hey, he ran a great race. He should have gotten like third, really. Like even if he hasn't done any of this and he finishes third, like that feels like a just result instead of just you don't score any points. You're not even on the leaderboard at all. It feels extraordinarily harsh. But when it comes down to it, I mean, his actions prevented at least two people from winning a national title. If he doesn't do that, he probably doesn't win. And it's either Solomon or Langen, right? And Langen definitely got majorly impacted. Like he wasn't able to finish his race nearly as well. He lost all his momentum after passing Samuel and Samuel running into him. So I ultimately think this is a fair decision. It just sucks in the grand scheme of things. Like Solomon didn't get across the line first. No one feels happy about winning this way, but I do think it was the right decision. And it's a shame that we're talking about this because this was a incredible race from the beginning to the end.
It was an incredible race. Takeaways from the actual like race itself. Solomon is him. He's that dude. He is just his kick, any race scenario. He was the best overall distance runner in the country this year. Seems to be fairly. You could argue like, well, wait, Habtom's up there, and there's an argument, but I think Solomon was, in my opinion, this season the best distance runner in the country. The kick was insane. Samuel is a far more refined racer than I think we realized. Way better kicking speed, strong positionally, great tactically, understands how to make his moves now. And Langen executes how you would think he wants to, but doesn't put himself in strong enough positions to fully capitalize on his opportunities. Is there anything I said there that is inconsistent with what you believe?
No, I totally agree. If you're doing stock up, stock down from this weekend, I mean, despite the DQ, I think Samuel's closing speed was I think one of the biggest revelations of this entire weekend.
Yep, I would almost certainly agree with that. Simeon Beerbaum second. He was actually the one who benefited from a DQ moving up, got Langen in the final straight. Moving forward for, let's say, the men's 5,000 meters, the men's 1,500 meters in the spring, are you willing to say that Beerbaum is now part of that Samuel Salmon Langen group for this spring?
I wouldn't go that far. I think
Okay.
he's in that next tier behind them, which is still a big jump up from
Really
where
good.
he's been at previously,
Yeah.
right? And I think this was a little bit of a situation. He took advantage of kind of the cluster that happened amongst the top three guys, and he was, I mean, not completely fresh into this, but he wasn't coming in like him and Solomon were the guys that didn't run the 5K the night before and probably were feeling a little bit better than the rest of those guys. So pairing up him against those guys like completely fresh, I don't think he's touching them necessarily. But I think he's like leading that next group.
I would agree. I also think the 3,000 is more his prime distance, right?
Yes.
Like if you said, "Hey, there's a 3,000-meter race outdoors," I would be willing to put him in there. But because there's not, I think the 3K is his prime event. But because there's not, I would agree with you on that statement. Ernest Cherry at fourth, Jesse Hamlin fifth, two guys who I was high on. I was high on them coming in. Ernest Cherry had a heck of a weekend, really validated everything I thought about him. And Hamlin, same thing. He is a fantastic 3K runner and excellent postseason performer when he's at his best. And that's what happened. And I'm like, nice. And also Benny Balzis, who I think you were also pretty high on coming in, he gets sixth place. Now, granted, this 3K field like wasn't exceptional by any means, in terms of how he performed, but I think you and I we can take this as a win.
Yeah, I mean, the only one that I think I got pretty off was Colton Sands. Just doubling back was not quite there. You would have thought he would have been able to kind of compete with that top three, top four a lot more because I mean it was a fast race. We should but it wasn't like lightning. 7:41 like final time. Like there was the BYU guys did some work to make it a little bit more honest, but you would have thought Sands in that kind of closing lap or so would have been able to be very competitive. Didn't quite have the close to his weekend that you would have expected. But yeah, I mean, really, it was the top 4 or 5 guys and then everybody else in this race.
I would, yeah, I would agree. It was a fun race, definitely a fun race. So, let's move off of that. I think we want to go to the women's 5,000 meters,
Yes.
where it was Jane Hedengren, BYU, takes down Alabama's Doris Lemngole, and we will speak about Doris separately. Obviously, there was the development of her scratching the 3K, foot injury since Milrose. We'll talk about her, but let's talk about Jane. Slow burn, builds it up,
Mhm.
builds it up. At what point did you realize Doris is in trouble and Jane has the control of this race?
I think it was when, and I'm not exactly sure when this happened. I'm looking through the splits here to make sure. Yeah, it was like 1,000-ish meters left when Kosgei like passed Lemon Goal, and I'm like, this doesn't seem like something that like if a fully in her prime fit Lemon Goal would allow. She would rather just pass Hendegren before allowing someone to pass her, especially with like 800 meters to go in this race. And when that gap started to build between Kosgei and Hendegren, and then Lemengol had to pass and try to close that, and it didn't happen instantaneously, that's when it's like, I don't think this is happening. Like, and it was a pretty remarkable thing. One, I mean, Kosgei like performed very, very well this weekend, but like just the fact that it was three people in that mix for that long didn't feel like it was a great sign, especially when Lemengol was getting passed.
I completely agree. Like Lemengol looked like, for the first time I've ever really seen her in a championship race, she looked rattled in that
Yeah.
5K when Kazi got in front of her. There was like a level of discomfort you could see there while Jane was like chugging away and slowly putting on a gap and slowly putting on a gap. Um, and I thought, I was like, oh, she looks human. She looks human,
Yep.
and yet she still got second. Hedegren, I respectfully don't care in the context of legacy, in the context of what this means for Hedegren, I don't care if Lemengole was injured.
Yeah.
Like this is still a monumental win. Like Lemengole still ran 15:03. Like it's not like she was completely hampered here, right? Like it, this is a big win. It's a legacy defining win. It's like, hey, when we're talking about the GOAT conversation 2 to 3 years down the line with Hedegren, we can point to this and say, hey, guess what? Yeah, you know what? Lemengole may have not been at 100%, but she still took her down. And and I think that matters in the long grand scheme of things when we talk about the greatness of Hedegren. I think this is going to matter.
Yeah, and I mean, she's starting to stack titles, right? And that's also when you're talking about the GOAT conversation. Like the sooner you can start stacking these titles, the better. Even if like, and I don't believe this, I don't think you believe this. This title, some might say that it comes with an asterisk. It doesn't matter. It's still a title.
Yeah, the title.
And so yeah, I thought the way that she ran this was actually pretty smart. If she wanted to lead it, I thought the way that she did it was very smart. And you just
Agreed.
see it in the
Yep.
splits. You go from like 36s to 35s to 34s to 33 to closing in 31 and 32, right? Like she just it's the exact kind of race that you need to run if you want to be a front runner where you're just squeezing the race a little bit at a time and you're not letting it come down to a kick because and you're not having to throw in a huge surge or anything or wear yourself out by like having to dictate the pace that way. You're just kind of easing your way into it and just and pushing and pushing and pushing. And I mean 15 flat for someone who's around 14:44 is like super impressive, obviously, but she just seems so in control at that pace. Like it really, and for someone who's run 4:22 in the mile, like this just seemed like the right approach for her. And who knows, like, would that have been the right approach if Lemon is fully fit? But I think if she wanted to lead, this is the way that she needed to do it, and she executed perfectly.
Completely agree. How it's basically the really tough line, which is I think something that you and I struggled with, which is how do you reconcile her immense strength in her ridiculous speed that she has? Well, you do a slow burn where you ramp it up and you force aerobic talent to be there at the end, but you also leave something for your turnover to utilize. And I thought she did that brilliantly. Pause because I have to use the restroom. So sorry.
Go ahead.
Isn't that some pile with your issue somewhere with her? Sorry. So, Vicky, your call, very trust. The help. Let's see that. Oh, peace. Capitalize. They are so high.
I've returned.
Feeling better?
All better. All right. Excuse me. All right. We'll just pick it up from where we left off.
Yep.
All right. Here we go. Okay. Also, wanted to talk about Pamela Kosgei. 15:07, third place. Then she also goes to the 3K, gets second. Thought she had a fantastic weekend. We had concerns about her this season. She didn't look like 100%, but man, I thought this was like the best case scenario for how her national meet could have gone.
Yeah, I mean, she looked like the runner that we thought she could be coming into this year, right? Where it's like, hey, if anybody's going to challenge Lemngole and Hedengren, it will be Kosgei. And she gave them a challenge, right? I mean, she passed Lemngole with a K to go. Now, obviously, wasn't able to finish with them, but I don't think that's the expectation for her, even at her and best case scenario, right? So she looked as good as we've seen her all year. And again, looks like the clear, like in between tier between Lemngole, Hedengren, and then the rest of the NCAA. There's kind of Kosgei in her own kind of tier by herself, and she very much proved that this weekend.
Agreed. Hilda Olamomwe fourth, Judy Chipkowick fifth. Nice runs for Florida. Nachalule sixth. West Virginia's Joy Knockout in seventh, and Sydney Vaught eighth. Nothing too surprising. I think we were a little higher on Vaught. Didn't turn out that well, but still an All-American honor. Iska Shalangot struggled, but like, I don't know. I mean, this is kind of about right, roughly.
Yeah, I mean, and the race was run similarly as what we would have expected, right? It was a quick pace, and it was just like, hey, the people who are most fit, finished high in this race, and that's why we thought, hey, Sydney Vaught coming into this after that 15:03 at SECs, she'd be primed and ready to go. 15:21, not her best day, but everyone else, I mean, it's like, doesn't matter that Chile doesn't have a whole lot of experience. She's fit. She runs 15:15. She's gonna finish high as an All-American, right? And it really seemed as simple as that when it came to the 5K. There weren't a whole lot of tactics involved for the rest of this field, honestly.
I agree. All right, are we moving on?
Let's move on to the men's mile, where we saw probably, I think, the biggest upset of the weekend. Carter Cutting taking home the title. Gary Martin looking great during prelims. Trent McFarlane just leaving it too late, quite frankly. Like he had the kick. He did everything that we were excited about him showed up, but he was not tactically prepared, I think, for the type of race that he experienced. And this was just a chaotic race across the board. I was watching McFarlane a lot, and he got into the conveyor belt that every middle distance runner has been in before, where you're on the inside rail and somehow you go from second to last, and you don't really know how it happened, but you just and that conveyor belt was spitting through so many different people throughout the race, as just people came up on lanes 2 and 3 even to just try to get to the front, and then they would kind of get to the rail or get to the inside and just get spat back out. But it was Cutting who played it perfectly, moving himself up slowly and methodically, getting himself towards the front, and more importantly, staying at the front once he got there. That was the ultimately, I think, the best decision that he made, and he finished so strong to win his first ever NCAA title.
Yeah, like a little bit of a weird race where like he goes to the front with 400 to go, and Gary does the same thing, but Cutting just kind of defends the position. It's kind of like what Luke Hauser did 2 years ago, when Luke Hauser would just go from 400 out and be like, just try to pass me, and you can't. It's the field behind you that's just battling each other out, and you wear each other out, and then it's just like, well, the guy who won was the guy who just didn't have to fight anyone. And like, that's half the battle sometimes. And so, I gotta admit, like, it feels weird calling Carter Cutting a national champion. But I did say, I've said this on this podcast, I've said it in past articles, it's out there somewhere, where I said, like, hey, I believe in a breakout season for Carter Cummings is coming. I believe he could be like a legitimate NCAA star. Always believed that, and I still believe that coming into this weekend, but I didn't think it was going to happen on Saturday, and it happened. And so, credit where credit's due. Big upset, and it's fun. It gives us something to talk about. Cootie, I thought like he was another one of those guys that got stuck on the inside rail, but like he didn't really have to battle anyone. He just kept his position, and then like he at least salvaged second place. McFarland just wasn't in a good enough position, like you mentioned, to do anything about it. So this is like a really like interesting race in terms of the outcome and the results, and yet I don't know what there is to talk about.
So I think it was interesting because we knew this was probably the field that was like the most condensed, right?
Sure.
Like the favorites were not far ahead. There weren't many favorites, right? You could have convinced yourself that, hey, someone like Cutting could have won this race. Like, it's a surprise that it was Cutting, but really you could have said that about a lot of people because it just felt like this was a very open race. And I almost felt like, all right, it looks like McFarland and Martin really do have a lock on this after their prelims, how good they looked. But Martin, I don't know if it was just him trying to respond to so many different moves or whatever it was. It just seemed like he ran out of gas in that last 200, 400. And I think he was just so aggressive early trying to position himself. It was like the exact opposite of McFarland. McFarland was like conserving to a fault, whereas Martin was trying to positioning the entire time. And it was like someone like Cutting, someone like Cootie, who were kind of able to thread that needle a little bit better. That ultimately is what I think got those guys to take the top two spots. But I agree with you. I think we still feel like Martin's probably the most talented miler. McFarland's probably got the best kick. Yeah. Like, I don't think we necessarily learned anything. It almost is like and we'll talk about him later, but the Rivaldo Marshall kind of title from a couple years ago in the 800, whereas like this doesn't feel like the strongest field, and he just kind of played his cards right and ended up winning a title. And not to denigrate the title in any way, but that kind of felt like the Cutting title in a similar fashion.
Yeah, like I like when we go to the spring, I'm gonna have to see more great stuff for me to say that Cutting can be a national title favorite. Like, but like he did it. He just did it, and it worked. And I get, and like, you know, he won Big 12s in the mile title there, and he looked great in the DMR, and or at least previously earlier this season. So like I think he's clearly better. Like he can't just like win a mile national title by accident. But yeah, I agree. I think it's still kind of like okay, now let's really evaluate just how good Cutting is. So any further thoughts on the rest of this field?
Not really. No, I mean, Paul Specht, I was someone that I was high on, faded there at the end. Again, it really just was like people were moving up and down so often that it really felt like it could have been anybody's day. And it was just a challenging one to really have a whole lot of takeaways, to your point. So let's move on to the women's mile, which I think was one of the races that I was most excited about seeing coming into the weekend. You had Wilma Nielsen, Riley Chamberlain, Billy Jepkuri, Sadie Engelhardt. You had a ton of talent, some of the best names in the entire country running insane times throughout the year. And it was Wilma Nielsen, the favorite from the beginning, who defends her title and wins the 2026 mile in 4:40, just edging out Rosemary Langisa and Sadie Engelhardt. This was an interesting race from a tactical perspective. It was just so freaking slow. And I can't remember if I said this about the women's mile or the men's mile when we were doing the preview, but I think I maybe said something along the lines of like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see like a Matthew Centrowitz at the Olympics kind of performance where you see someone just run lead it out because no one wants to lead it out. And they just run a slow pedestrian pace. And hey, because you're just on the inside rail, and you defend that position the entire time, you win. And that was what Riley Chamberlain was trying to do, and very nearly executed on that, but just did not have the kick at the end like the rest of these top women. It was Nielsen who, it just felt like it was going into that last lap, it felt like it was hers to lose. And I wonder if you felt the same way, whereas like this at that last lap, it was kind of a fait accompli in a lot of ways.
It was kind of a what?
A fait accompli, like it was a done deal in a lot of ways.
I'm gonna steal that. You're gonna have to type that out for me because I don't even know how you would spell
I think
that.
that's French, so
It's definitely
I might have to
French.
Google that.
It's definitely, as a former high school French taker, I can definitely tell you it's French, but I couldn't tell you how it's spelled. Anyways, um, I felt like we had a really, really good grasp of how this field was, how it played out. We said it was going to be tactical and that it made no sense to be fast, and we were right. We had everyone that was kind of like a major contender. We kind of had that right too. I think Longisa certainly proved. Oh, I see. Okay, I may have seen this before. Fit company, nice. I think Longisa certainly was better than we thought in terms of translating her raw talent to the tactical scenarios. But Nielsen's just the best. She was just the best. Was there any point where you thought Nielsen is not going to win this race?
I thought there was like, I will say up at like, I think once they hit the bell app, it was like, yes, she's got this.
Yeah.
But there was, like before that, I was like, it's just so slow. Like, and I was pretty concerned going in, right before the last lap where she was boxed in. Like, I was like, I don't think she's going to be able to get out. Like, you have Longisa kind of next to her and Chamberlain right in front of her. I was like, I don't know how she's going to get out. But then as like Longisa was able to kind of surge ahead, then it was like, okay, now the room is opening up. I thought Longisa, from a like what we came into it, I had said, I was like, I don't think we can put her in this top group, but she's done everything exactly as you would want her to do this season. And she proved that none of that was a fluke throughout the year. And she, I think, had one of the better weekends of anybody just with the second place finish, because this didn't seem like the type of race that would set up well for her, a really slow tactical race, but she performed exceptionally well, was super smart throughout it. And that kick at the end was, I mean, as good as pretty much anybody's in the country outside of Nielsen. I thought she was terrific. And I think if you're talking about going to the outdoor season, I think you're putting these top 5 women all in kind of a very similar tier when you're talking about the 1500.
I would agree with that 100%. For perspective, 4 of 9 TSR riders, 4 of them chose Wilma Nielsen. 3 of them, by the way, one of which was me. 3 of them chose Bila Chipkiri, one of which was Ben. 1 chose Riley Chamberlain, and 1 chose Sadie Englehart. So if that tells you kind of the badness of this field, then yeah, that's kind of it. Chamberlain, 5th. Still, she goes back to the 3K, doubles back. It's bad. She gets second at last. I'm struggling to like remain optimistic about her on the national stage. Is 5th place bad? No, especially in a historically elite field. But pretty much any non-DMR race on the national stage has not yielded results that would match our expectations. I don't really know if there's anything more to say, but I was kind of hoping for more.
Yeah, and that was like always the thing that you had in the back of your head when you were trying to like when I was trying to put together predictions for this race. It's like in these individual championships, it just doesn't seem like she puts it together for whatever reason. And yeah, I don't know if it's just because she doesn't have that same acceleration, it seems like, that like a Nielsen or a Longisa or an Engelhart does, and that kind of, I think, caught up with Jep Curry a little bit as well. You have that top end speed when you're really going, but to be able to accelerate, especially in these like tight corners of an indoor track, I think that really did kind of come back to bite her a little bit, because when they went, like, she just didn't have that other gear to shift into right away. And so, yeah, I think that was the issue. Can we pause for like 2 seconds real quick? Sorry. Sorry, Someone on my team just screwed something up pretty bad, and I just need to fix it real quick before we lose $1,000.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're good.
Let me send this out. That'll be good. All right. Okay. Sorry about that.
All good. All right. Ready? All good?
Yep. All set.
All right.
Sorry, where were we? Where did we leave off?
Chamberlain, right?
Okay. Was it me that
It
finished?
was you that yeah, I think.
Okay,
Let me double check. Yeah. So, and then I'll let you transition wherever you want to take it.
Okay. Alrighty. 3, 2, 1. Anyone else in this field that you wanted to hit on besides kind of this top 5? I mean, Engelhardt, I think, validated a lot of the things that we had said about her. You would put her in that top tier, and I think she definitely earned that with the way that she closed this race. Actually had the fastest last 200 split of anyone. But anybody else you wanted to touch on here?
No, I mean, Burns validated her altitude. It took 3 months, but she validated 2 months, I guess. She validated her altitude conversion, 7th place All-American honor. My suspicion that Berlin Schutz could be a sleeper was well-founded, 9th place. Even if it's not an All-American honor, felt like that was an improvement for her. And that's it.
Okay. All righty, let's move on to the men's DMR, which was a really exciting race. Like we already mentioned Colin Salmon's 3K victory, but the men's DMR was another validation of his decision to go with the DMR 3K double. And I mean, he just we'll talk about the rest of the split, the rest of the legs here in a second, but he just was in a different class than the rest of the field in the last leg. Like there, it was so apparent that he was going, especially the last couple of laps, was just going to rip through the rest of the field, and that's what he did. He's celebrating coming off of the last turn, like the early celebration, the celebration up the line. Obviously, it meant a lot for him and for his team to win this title. But yeah, they set him up incredibly well, and I think the kind of MVP of this entire relay was what Reinhard Harrison did for this lineup. He made sure that it really didn't matter what they had in the next 2 legs all that much, because he was going to just put them out in front and give them a big enough lead that Salmon was going to be in the mix almost no matter what.
Really impressive. Just really, really impressive. If Salmon and NAU do not win the DMR national title and he still wins the 3K title, let's say they get second in the DMR and he wins the 3K title, is this a successful weekend and where the scratch is the right decision if he does not win the DMR title?
Yes, I think if you win a title, if going this approach wins you a single title, it's the right approach.
If he gets second in the DMR and wins the 3K, was the DMR 3K the right decision, or would the 800 3K or the mile 3K have been the better double decision? Like what? Like you see what I'm saying? Like
I think if he didn't win a title, I think he made the wrong decision. I think that's like, and
as long
that's
as he wins a title either in
Yes.
either event, you think across the board it was the right decision.
Yes, yeah, because I think the thing was like coming into it is like, all right, he has a really good shot in the 800. He would have a really good shot in the mile, like where neither of those
And he
fields with
won both. Like
right,
you see how
yeah.
the race plays out, he wins both of those.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I agree. And so it's like I think he had so many different options that whatever he felt he was most confident in, I think that was the right one, right? And so I think it's a little bit results over process in my mind, where it's like, hey, just whatever you pick, you got to win because you had a great shot at winning no matter what you scratched out of. So I thought it was obviously it was the right decision, but I think just seeing what he could do in the DMR, like it made it pretty clear that yeah, this made a lot of sense.
Great race, entertaining race. Very few times you see someone cross the line that ecstatic, and he was. So, Arkansas second, Virginia Tech third, Michigan fourth. Kind of, Arkansas's pissing me off. We're not supposed to be this good. Didn't have Tyrice Taylor, didn't have Rivaldo Marshall. Doesn't really matter. Owen Lagarati is very competent on the opening leg, and Brian Masai was just a really good anchor leg. And the entire relay was competent. It was good. Like it, I hate that. Virginia Tech had an opening split of 255 on the 1200 meter leg, but then proceeded to earn splits of 45.6, 144.6, and 356.38, faster than Arkansas split. If they put George Cootie on the opening 1200 meter leg, does Virginia Tech win this DMR title?
I still think NAU wins it, just because I think Solomon had like a couple gears left to go if he needed to. Like and start could have kicked out a lot earlier if he needed to. I don't think Nick Plant's great. I don't think he's going head to head with Solomon. But
so what if it was Cootie? What if it was Nick Plant on the opener and Cootie on the anchor?
I still think I like Solomon in that situation. Like
there's no scenario in which Virginia Tech wins the DMR national title with a full lineup.
Probably not. Not with how I mean
just
the fact that
just say you hate me. Just say
I mean the fact that NAU had a 2:49 and a 45-second leg to like start out, like I like and the 800 wasn't even like spectacular. It was like 147. I just think if you are setting yourself up that well in those first two legs, like I don't think you're being Solomon. Like I don't think anybody was.
It's just brutal to me that a guy can split 144.6 on the 8 and you're getting third. I'm like, dude, man, like, so is what it is. Michigan McFarland just didn't have the pop. Just didn't have it. Michigan as a team ran really well up until McFarland, and he just didn't have it. And is what it is. Washington, BYU, Oregon, Colorado. I mean, like whatever.
Yeah. There wasn't a whole lot. I mean, Isaac Hedengren really stuck his nose out there for a second.
Yeah, great national meet.
Kudos for him. Yeah, he I think he looked very good throughout the entire weekend. But yeah, I don't think I thought Oregon, we could have seen more out of them. I was a little surprised. That first leg from James Harding was just really bad. And bad. if they actually have like a normal competent lineup, and
Cook wasn't great either. Cook split 149, which is like in this field isn't good.
No. I mean, yeah, and that so. Yeah, but I mean, really, that 1200. I mean, if you could have, it's not unrealistic that they could have been 5 seconds faster, right? And if that's 5 seconds faster, they're beer bombs running with McFarland, right? And I like his chances there.
Did you see what happened did you watch the DMR race and you see what happened with Wisconsin?
No, so it's funny. I watched it and then like I read your article and I was like, wait a second. I didn't even realize he didn't have a baton.
Didn't have the baton. Nick Plant, I guess it's one of those. It's the classic scenario of a guy is running in front of you. You have your baton in the left hand. I was taught growing up, I don't care if you're left-handed. The left hand is for sinners. You got to put it in the right hand. And because you don't want to be on the inside lane, crowded in traffic, and have someone's elbow drive back and hit you. So I assume it was in the left hand because I don't think it's the only scenario in which that baton gets knocked out. But yeah, he knocks out, and then like you can tell he's like Archie Noakes of Wisconsin is like throwing his hands up, but keeps running. He just keeps running with the baton. And I'm like, well, dude, just gotta go back and get it. Like, which I get it, which is, by the way, in his defense, it's way easier to know exactly what to do in that scenario, like from watching from afar than be in that scenario. Because how many times are you losing a baton? But yeah, it was a little comical.
And also just like the surprise of that happening. Like you just don't you're like, even if you knew what to do, like, and you're just in the moment and you're like, oh crap. Like, what do I do now? Yeah, that was a really tough situation. Anything else to touch on from the men's DMR?
No, I'm just double checking to make sure that I didn't completely miss when exactly he lost that baton because yeah, that was pretty funny. But no, that's all I really got. Oh no, wait. Did he have it in his right hand? He had it in his right hand. So never mind, I take it back.
How did that even happen then?
I don't know. I think it's because Plant was above. Oh yeah, that's what happened. Plant was in front of him, but was still cutting in, and Noakes had it. So Noakes was doing it right. To Noakes' defense, he did have it in the right hand. Okay, that's all I got though. DMR.
All right, let's move on to the women's DMR, where it was again the Oregon Milers just proving to be better than the rest of the NCAA. Wilma Nielsen taking them home in the anchor. But it was, I mean, really Julia Cherubit that I think set the tone with this race, putting her on the 12. And I think you maybe mentioned this as well. It was a little bit of a surprise to put her there instead of Aildes, but that worked like a charm. She performed very, very well. And Aildes, I mean, didn't run a fantastic leg, but quite frankly, no one did in the 800. And that was all they really needed to set up Nielsen. And this one was like even clearer than the mile, where it's like, oh yeah, all right, well, we know how this is gonna end. Who's gonna finish second?
From halfway through, it's done.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was South Carolina who finished the second, Iowa State third, who both kind of rested their top guns to be able to put together really good DMRs, and it paid off in a huge way. They put in really, really good performances. It was just no one was touching Nielsen out of this group.
I agree. No one was touching her. Like what? Like I mean, I don't really know what to say.
What the takeaway is, right?
Like yeah,
they're good.
Like they're doubling back and they're just better. They're just better. I thought the lineup decisions were great by Shalane Flanagan. Thought it's like, hey, it's worth it. It just is. So yeah, really no comments there. Salma El Badra, lineup was fresh. She's fresh. She splits 426 and you get second. Like that's kind of a best case scenario that we saw, and it happened. Iowa State, everyone ran well. Just everyone, I had them getting third, they got third. Like everyone ran well. And so Florida, I think, is probably like the biggest winners here. Stegall is a dog, caught up with the pack, and then still got fourth. Thought she was fantastic in this race, not great in the mile finals, but that's a rookie struggling with doing doubles at the national meet her first time. Like it happened. So I mean, Stegall, I think, is the big winner. Iowa State's a big winner, but like, I don't know. Does Oklahoma State win this race if Chip Curry runs the anchor?
I think that, well, no, I don't think if she was fresh, I think you could probably make the argument, but if she's just running it, I don't think so. Like,
I don't think so either. I just wanted to see.
Yeah. And it's not like they put together like an incredible lineup before that, right? Where it's like you're like, they would have given her the baton with like a lot of like a big gap between them and Oregon. But yeah, I mean, looking through, I thought it was pretty impressive. Like what BYU was able to do to finish sixth without like any of their top runners, really.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I can't
I like
that.
JC Farmer bringing you home to a 6th place finish, running 4:33.
Farmer's had a nice season.
I mean, yeah, I mean that just kind of shows you that their overall depth is someone that, hey, we haven't talked about all season, and she's good enough to run 4:33 and help you finish sixth. So yeah, I mean, honestly, just not a lot to talk about here.
I'm looking at this. Did Sydney Vaught double back from the 5K? She's listed in the live results.
Oh no, she did. Yeah, I guess. I mean, she ran 4:39, but
which isn't great. But like,
that's crazy.
I guess it's because Arkansas literally did not have anyone good enough. A doubling Sydney Vaught back from the 5K better. Is still better than your next best option, which like.
Not a great, and it's a little bit of an indictment on Arkansas's program.
I'm going to be honest. I'd be like, really? Really? You have that much? Yeah, she's listening to first. That's crazy.
That's pretty funny.
I mean, it ended poorly, but like, yeah, that's a heck of a double. Anyways, okay, what else?
You ready to move on to the men's 5K?
Let's do it.
All righty. The men's 5K. So, hey, a lot of the same people involved from the men's 3K, sans Colin Solomon. It was Habtom Samuel who did take home the victory.
Well, Colin Solomon was not in the 5K.
Or the sans Colin Solomon in the 5K. I'm really throwing you off with
I thought you were saying Colton Sands.
Yes, I get it now. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Okay.
Ben's vocabulary moments need to like stop. I need
to, too advanced.
Need to chill. Habtom Samuel takes home the title. Yeah, we can start the clip of our discussion right here. Habtom Samuel takes home the 5K title over Marco Langen. Ernest Chariot, third. Helsinki Kipruto, fourth. Colin Sands, fifth. Sands, it just didn't ever look like he was super comfortable, and this was like the perfect race for him. And he just did not have the weekend that you would expect. Fifth place still, though, at the beginning of the season. I'm sure he would have taken that. It was obviously a huge improvement throughout the year. But it was Habtom's speed at the end that I think took everyone off guard. Langen, and to his credit, he owned up to this, just was not close enough to Samuel in that last, going into that bell lap. And he put in a great hard charge. But I mean, the extra gear that Habtom Samuel had in that last 50 meters was very unexpected. And that was ultimately what won him the race. Being able to close in 26.6 wasn't as fast as Langen, but he put himself in a good enough position to be able to utilize his best kick at the right time.
Completely agree. I mean, it just feels like a really big turning point for Samuel. Like, I know we spoke about it in the 3K, but the speed is now there. He's now a guy where it's like, he'll probably never have the best kick in the field. But if he has a step on you, he can still win this race. And with Helsinki Kipruto and Ernest Chariot already in front of Langen going into that final lap, if Habtom's kicking that hard in sub 27 split for the last 200, it didn't really matter what Langen did unless Langen was going to run, break a land speed record to get across. So brilliant racing by Samuel. It actually wasn't bad racing by Langen either, but it was just the position. And he, like you said, he owned up to it. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think we learned that much about like Langen in a lot of ways. He put together like the race that we kind of expected him to. He was in contention and he utilized a great kick at the end. Like you said, he would have had to run like a 26 low at the end of a 5K, which might as well be breaking a land speed record at that point. Like it would have been, it was just too much to ask. And Samuel just had enough. I think another big winner from this was obviously Chariot and Kipruto. I think what we saw from Kipruto as a freshman, he's just what looked incredibly poised. Like the guy looks like he had been here for years and just tracked the leaders super well throughout, and just I was engaged, ready to kick when it mattered. He didn't have like the best speed of anybody, but he's going to rack up so many points, so many All-American finishes just by running this type of race, because you would only imagine in a faster race that he would have been even more competitive as well.
So 2 comments individually, one with Langen and one with Chiruto and Kipruto. Let's start with Langen real quick. So during the coverage of the national meet, obviously we're posting graphics and videos and yada, yada, yada. And Langen was getting kind of dogged in the comments. Like he was taking a lot of heat. And I get it because he talks big. But let's just call this how. Let's be very clear about Langen, right? Because I don't always fully understand some of the hate. I understand if you don't like Marco Langen's personality. I understand if you don't like that he swears. I can understand if you think he's too aggressive with his race tactics or whatever it may be. But when he steps behind a camera for an interview, you will watch. When we post a workout of him, you will watch. And when he toes the line to race, you will watch. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is good for the sport. Period. So I get it, but you can't want the sport to be better and then bash and hate the guy who's willing to actually have a personality and actually talk about things in a very blunt manner. So I appreciate it with him. With Chiruto and with Kipruto, they were just awesome. Kipruto can do this thing where like he doesn't have the best kick and he's not the most aggressive front runner, but he hangs around in the front and he just kind of stays there, and he doesn't really let you have position, and he doesn't really let many guys pass him. I was incredibly impressed by his poise, and that's not the first time we've seen that from him this season in Chariot. Made me look so good. The dude is just tactically better.
That he did.
Speed is better. Positioning is better. Control of fitness is better. So I'm proud. Like he's my son. Like I'm proud of him. Like I thought he had a fantastic national meet, and I'm just amped because everything that I saw from him this year was like, hey, this dude looks more comfortable, and he looked incredibly comfortable this past weekend.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we always do the talent was there with Chariot, and it's put it together. He's put it together in such a nice way this year. I want to circle back to your Langen impassioned speech there. I'm trying to figure out how I can say this delicately. We want our athletes to almost be delicate. We want them to be almost a country club kind of aesthetic to our sport. And like in terms of just like you say the nice things, there's this great sportsmanship. Like, look at that. They fist bumped each other at the end of the race. That's fantastic. We love that. That's so like family friendly and amazing. And hey, nothing wrong with that. That's how I was as an athlete. I would have been an extraordinarily boring interview. I would have said absolutely nothing interesting. But to your point, if we want the sport to grow and attract new and have viral moments and attract new fans, there has to be like different personalities that are allowed to rise to the top. Michael Jordan was an amazing athlete, but the way that he talked and the way that he approached things, same thing with Kobe Bryant, was what have made them icons and made the sport of basketball that much more popular. Now, I'm not saying Marco Langen is approaching either of those guys in any way, but like we can't gatekeep. Like it's your perspective. It's your point. We can't gatekeep and try to keep this stuff out if you want us to actually grow, if you want us to actually engage with new people that are outside the race. Like I got sent different clips from outside of the family on different racing things, like when there's a DQ or stuff like that. That draws people in an interview where someone's being a little bit more bombastic and like out there. That draws people in to at least check in and see what's going on. So I totally agree with you. I think it's silly the amount of like frustration that people have about
well, and here's the thing that I think is like really important to note. It's not like he bashes other athletes.
No.
You know, like he actually like takes a lot of responsibility. They're talking about like the protest and the 3K, like, are you worried about the protest? And he's like, dude, what? Like, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I lost. Like, why are you worried about the protest? Now, I don't know if he really likes John God of What's Wrong, period. But like he takes a lot of ownership and he says, like, I lost. Like it is what it is, and I move on. And so it's not like he's even being like a jerk to these other guys. And so that's where I go, hey, listen, if you're not like actively, talking terribly about others and you're just being blunt, why do we hate? I don't understand that part. All right. The rest of this field, do we care?
No.
Okay. We're moving on. Women's 3K, no Doris Lemngole. Lemngole, as we mentioned, scratched after the 5K. She had been dealing with a foot injury since Millroads Games, first reported by FloTrack, confirmed by TSR. Didn't race. Hedengren soloed in 8:36, and that was the race.
Yeah, this is one of the more boring races you're ever gonna see. This was like, what was it? Was it Parker Valby in like a 3K, like after she ran her record in the 5K and then came back in the 3K the next day? Like, why are we even doing this? Like it's like she's gonna just smash everybody. Yeah. And that's like, as soon as like the news with Lemngole came out, I was like, this is not gonna be pretty. And lo and behold, it was not. So again, fantastic run by Hedengren. We're really not going to spend any time talking about her because we didn't learn anything. It was a great second title for her to win. She's in a different class than the rest of the field. I thought it was a really good run from the New Mexico duo. Kazi again was awesome, and Mary Jepta-Kenich running both of them running PRs, A43, A44, closing really, really well. Great race from them. And Betty Kipkouri, again, great decision to do the DMR 3K. I think she like those decisions were perfect for her and for Iowa State. But I mean, again, the rest of this field, a lot of people doubling back, not a lot of fresh legs. It went fairly chalk after this.
Do you want to apologize to me?
For what specifically?
I just kind of want to see if you can guess it.
Ali Zealand? Something yeah. Ali Zealand related?
Okay. That's Ali Zealand. Ali Zealand's fifth runs 8:45. You or a staunch mile 3K double if she has the opportunity.
Yes, that's right.
I said just going for the 3K. So are you willing to apologize?
Yes, I apologize. Although I will say,
no.
I'm trying to look up.
No buts with your apologies. I want straight confession. That's all I want.
You were right. I was wrong. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I will say, instead of a but in there, sure. I think I did. I'm trying to see where I predicted her.
I think 3K. You did pick her better than I did.
I picked her fifth.
Really?
So I did. I actually like. I didn't get Koski. I did not predict her well at all this weekend. But like I had Kipkouri third, Ilbadra fourth, Zealand fifth. Like I felt like I had a pretty good handle of what we saw.
7 of the 8 All-Americans. I mean, it was that chalk though. To everyone's credit, it was pretty chalk. So,
but yeah, good job. Good job on your Zealand take.
That's all I want. Thank you. Okay. That is all I've got on this race.
All right. We're going to wrap it up with the 800s, starting on the men's side, where it was the Arkansas duo of Tyrice Taylor and Rivaldo Marshall taking home the top 2 spots on their home track. Arkansas men, I believe, winning the team title, right, by a lot. And in large part to their performance in this 800, picking up 18 points. And Robon took this out, not in like blazing fast time, but just, I don't know what happened. He just did not have anything left in that last 100 meters and fell back hard, finishing 7th. Penn State finishing 3-7-8, got 3 guys to the final, but it was Alan Clay who led them in 3rd place. Just not an overall great performance from them. This was such a weird 800. I mean, Taylor and Marshall just burst through past Robot and never looked back. They had a spectacular close. They timed it perfectly. But I mean, 146 flat time as your winning time isn't like a ridiculously quick time, and it just didn't seem like anybody was really at their best besides those top 2 guys.
I mean, not only that, but like Matsatsa didn't make the finals. Yeah. Matthew Erickson didn't make the finals, right? Handel Robon does not run well off of a pace that's not even that aggressive. Honestly, I would have liked Robon to be more aggressive. Be more aggressive. Go out in 51 low. He went out in 51 mid for his 144 efforts. Go out in 51 low. Like what? Like if you're gonna go to the front in the 8 and you're a 2-time 144 guy indoors, he's run 142 outdoors. Be more aggressive. Like why?
I agree. Like if you're gonna lead. Like there's no benefit for you being a glorified pacer for everybody else's. Like a 52 flat for 400 is perfect for this field. It's like they can just sit on that. Like you're not losing them. If you're going to lead, like if that was going to be the time, then you should have been in 3rd place or 2nd place. Let somebody else lead. You be the one to be the aggressor, like to have the aggressive kicking and go past that. But if you're gonna do this, run 50, 51, like 50.5, like do something that gaps the field.
Every guy in that field went under 53 seconds through the 400 split because they were right there.
Yeah, because that's what they've been doing all year. Like this was just another race for them. Like he can go to a place that no one else in this field can go, and he didn't take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And if you didn't want to take advantage of that, then don't be the sitting duck for everybody, right? So yeah, I think this was just not handled super well for him, but he just didn't look his best either. Like we can be saying, hey, he tactically didn't do this right, but like if he's like running like at like his best, like he's probably closing it a lot faster than 28 seconds in that last 200, right?
Who was this performance bigger for in terms of legacy? Tyrice Taylor or Rivaldo Marshall? Also, have you ever seen a race where the first 2 guys crossing the line didn't really seem to care who won?
Not really.
It was weird.
Yeah, I mean, it was like it takes
like
you back
throw
to
a bow or something, dude. Like
the conspiracy theories about like Cheserek letting Eric Jenkins win like
that's right. I remember
those titles back in the day. Yeah, no, it was very strange.
Yeah.
No, and to your point, I think this was actually better for the legacy for Marshall than Taylor, even though Taylor wins the title, because like this was very much a validation of Marshall's title. Whereas Tyrice Taylor, I mean, again, this was an NCAA title. No one can ever take this from him. This is not going to be an 800 final that people watch reruns of and bring up. But when you talk about Rivaldo and Marshall, you're like, hey, he won that title. And they're like, oh yeah, but he also finished runner up a couple of years later. Like he starts, it's like one of those situations. If you didn't like experience this era and you come back like 30 years from now and you're like, who were some of the best middle distance runners? You could someone could make a statistical case that, hey, Rivaldo Marshall was actually one of the best guys. And then you're like, no, all the old heads are like, no, he actually wasn't. But you can start to make the case for him based off of what we've seen.
Yeah, what's on paper, you can see it. Like exactly. It's at least there, which I can appreciate. Joseph Sakaris of Penn, James Harding of Oregon, 4th and 5th. Man, rookie had a great postseason. He was awesome in the latter stages, had a fantastic season. Nice job for him. Harding, great breakout season for him. Feels validated. Narumbe was excellent. The middle portion of that field, that was really good. Had a really nice seasons.
Yeah, I think I mean, honestly, I think if you go 1 through 6, I think everybody's really happy with their race, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I think everyone is like, hey, this was I'm content with this. I mean, Zakaras and Narumbe like just getting to the final, I think is like awesome for them, and then performing pretty well. Like, very exciting to see what they can do in the future, right? But it's kind of like, and I think that goes to everybody's expectations coming into this race. Like, no one was expecting, like, I don't think we had super high expectations for really any of these guys in the top 6 out. And Robon was really the only one that we felt really strongly coming into, and he's the only one that really underperformed in a big way.
I am transitioning us to our final race that we will be talking about, and that is the women's 800 meters. And just before I say anything further, Clemson's Gladys Chepngetich wins it in 2 flat .01. Arkansas duo of Sanu Jallo and Annalise Batista, they go 2-3 on their home track, also running 2 flat. Juliet Whitaker of Stanford in 4th place. Chepngetich, well-run race. She's 100% deserving. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, that said, this was, without question, the single most boring race I have ever watched during my time at TSR. There was no movement that happened. Chepngetich went wire to wire. There was from 200 meters to 400 meters. Guess how many spots changed between the field, Ben? Guess how many?
1.
0. 0 spots changed from the 200 split to the 400 split. Now, obviously, there was a little bit of change. Wait, actually, how many spots changed from the 200 split to the 600 split, Ben?
I'll say 1 again.
0.
No, that's crazy.
There were 0 splits. That can't be right.
No, that's not right. Michaela Page, and no, actually, you're right.
No, I'm right. That
Oh my
from the
gosh.
200 split to the 600 split, there was 0 change in any order. And really, at the 800, it was just Whitaker falling back a little bit, and Vanis Carubo also moving up a little bit, but that was, or falling down a little bit, but that was it. It was just Annalise Batista moving around them. That was the entire race. I've never seen a race where, you know, that meme of the guy, the stick figure guy with the stick, and he's just trying to
do something.
Just do something. Just do something. That was this race. It was the most boring race. Doesn't mean anyone ran poorly or bad, but I can't analyze a race that had literally 0 tactics. 0.
I mean, and to Juliet Whitaker's credit, she tried. Like, she did put it in
did she?
I think she did. She just didn't even in the prelims.
How can we say that someone tried if you don't make a pass?
Well, I think she tried. I just don't think. I think she tried to get on Jallo's and Chepngetish's shoulder, and she just didn't get past him. I just don't think she quite had her fastball. And I think that's probably what caused this race to be so boring, because it's you were waiting for her to move up and she just never did. And I think if she passes Chepngetich, that kind of sets off a little bit of a chain reaction of people moving back and forth. But and I liked how Chepngetich ran this, where it's listen, I'm just going to go out and run 2 flat. If you guys can run faster than that, great. You guys can beat me. If not, I'm going to take home this. She just was running a time trial. And I actually kind of like that approach in a year where there wasn't a lot of people. Haley Kitching would have dominated this field. She would have we didn't talk about her prelim fall, but her close after falling is one of the greatest closes to any race that you will see. The fact that she wasn't able to make it into the final really just made this final a lot less exciting, because you really feel like she just would have dominated here.
Yeah. She's just clearly the best. She's still, I'll say, I still think she's the best 800 meter runner in the country. I just do. I'm sorry to Chepngetich.
I don't think it's arguable. I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's pretty
I don't think it is either, but it's just difficult, because you can say that, but in doing so, it takes away from Chepngetich, and I don't want to take away from Chepngetich, but it's the truth. or at least I think it's the truth. That's my truth.
And I mean, hey, even if this would have meant that Chenna finished second in this race, I think that still is like she was great. Like she was finally awesome. Like she was like put it together at the national stage. She's been really good all year. Like we were a little worried about her pro season. Like I think she firmly moves into a category of like you feel really good about her going into the national, whether or not she's the favorite or not. Like you feel like, hey, she's going to be a contender in every single race that she shows up.
She's now in the high tier with Whitaker and Kitching. She deserves to be there.
100%.
Stay there. Yes.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, I think the only like surprise, like you saw Batista, who looked really, really good. You saw Naya Sarah from Kentucky, who looked good. Zoe Dundon, who kind of surprisingly made this final. I think all of those three were kind of nice stories to see them, and they kind of filled the void of just like there just isn't a whole lot of depth in this 800 field this year, and they took full advantage of that. I really liked what we saw out of Batista over this season.
She was great.
Came on super strong. We really liked what we saw from her from SECs winning that 800, and then she followed that up. And I'll get on my soapbox for a second here. I have an apology to make. I did not include Sanu Jallow in my top 8 All-American predictions.
Wow, did you really?
Quite frankly, I didn't think it was a hard decision to make. I just didn't think that she was going to make it through the rounds. I thought she was going to do the same thing where she leads and then goes out too hard, gets caught, and just doesn't make it to the final. And then I thought, hey, once she makes the final, it'll be the same story. She was terrific. She was awesome. She was smart. She ran the race like the prelims, the finals, incredibly well. Hand up. I made a mistake. She learned from her past experiences. She was awesome. She doesn't need my validation whatsoever. She's way better than anything that I've ever done. So it was an incredible performance for her, and I just got to apologize. Sorry, Sanu Jallow, for doubting you. You've taken a huge step forward, and I really do think, we talked about, Chemna Getich has moved up a tier. I really feel like Jallow has moved up to another tier of I have a lot more faith in her now that I've seen her run this type of race at a national meet.
There were 9 TSR riders who made predictions, All-American predictions for D1. How many of them do you think predicted Jallow to be an All-American?
There were 9. 6?
7.
Okay. So I wasn't alone.
Yeah. Do you want to know who the other one is? Can you guess?
Yes, I would actually.
Who do you think it was?
Finn?
Me.
Oh, geez.
I was the other one. We're so confident. Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, that was the other one. I'm not apologizing. I said what I said, and I say it with my chest. I'm wrong, blatantly wrong, but I'm wrong nonetheless. So, Ben, I think that's it. Is that it?
That's it. That's all the races that happened on the distance side this weekend. So another season in the books.
Another season in the books. Go check out the site. First thoughts articles, really kind of diving into all the nuances and the tactics and the races and the legacies and pretty much anything and everything with these distance races. We've got a ton of post-race interviews on YouTube. Shout out Corey Mull. Go check us out on the socials, of course, because Lauren Colley has been doing fantastic there. And of course, now we have an photo album from Angela May from the D1 Indoor National Meet, on our snapshots page on the website. Rankings coming this week. Just a bunch of end of season rankings. We'll do end of season awards likely next week. And leave a 5-star rating and review. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it may be. Please do so. But Ben, for that, that's all I've got.
All right. Well, until next week, Garrett, I'll talk to you.
I'll talk to you.